Let me guess. You didn't buy your iPhone outright. You're paying for it monthly. $30 here, $45 there. It doesn't even feel like a real expense. It just disappears into your phone bill. And honestly, it feels responsible. Because look, you didn't drop $1,200 all at once. You spread it out. You were smart about it, right? Here's the thing. That tiny monthly iPhone payment might be one of the most expensive financial decisions you make every single year. Not because the phone is bad, not because technology is evil, but because of what that payment does to your brain and what it quietly trains you to accept. My name is Brian, and I probably think about consumer debt and behavioral finance more than I should. And if you're someone who's ever financed a phone, upgraded early, or convinced yourself a small monthly payment doesn't really count, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because by the end of this video, you're going to look at phone payments very differently. And honestly, you might never finance one again. Now, before you click away thinking, Brian, come on, it's just a phone, let me say this. Almost everyone does this. Doctors do this. Engineers do this. People making six figures do this. This isn't about being bad with money. It's about how modern pricing is designed to bypass your rational brain entirely. Here's what most people don't realize. Your iPhone payment isn't just about the phone. It's about normalization. It's about training you to accept permanent monthly expenses for things that used to be one-time purchases. And once that door opens, it never really closes. Let's start with the math, because the math alone is already uncomfortable. A new iPhone costs, let's say, $1,200. Apple offers you a payment plan, 0% interest. Sounds harmless. It comes out to roughly $50 a month for 2 years. $50. That's a dinner. That's a tank of gas. That's nothing. Except it's not nothing, because 2 years later, something happens. Your phone is technically paid off, but then the upgrade offer appears. New camera, better battery, faster chip, and suddenly you're back to another $50 a month. So what most people actually pay isn't $1,200. They pay $50 a month indefinitely. And that's the first trap. You stop thinking in total cost. You only think in monthly pain. Now let's zoom out. If you're paying $50 a month, that's $600 a year. Over 10 years, that's $6,000 for phones. But that's still not the real cost, because money doesn't exist in isolation. Money has opportunity cost. If instead of paying $50 a month forever, you bought your phone outright and invested that $50 every month at a conservative 7% return, over 10 years, that's about $8,700. Over 20 years, almost $26,000 for a phone. That slab of glass in your pocket quietly costs you a used car, or a year of financial freedom, or the difference between retiring stressed and retiring calm. Now you might be thinking, okay, Brian, but I need a phone. And you're right, this isn't about not having a phone, it's about how you pay for it. Here's where it gets really interesting, because the biggest damage isn't the math, it's psychological. When you finance your phone, your brain categorizes it as a utility, like electricity, like internet. It becomes invisible. You don't feel the pain of purchase, and pain matters. Behavioral economists call this the pain of paying. When you pay up front, your brain says, that was expensive. When you pay monthly, your brain says, that's normal. And normal is dangerous, because once something feels normal, you stop questioning it. This is why buy now, pay later exploded. This is why subscriptions multiply. This is why people making more money somehow feel poorer, because their fixed costs quietly balloon, and phone payments are often the first domino. Once you accept paying monthly for a phone, it becomes easier to accept monthly payments for everything else: headphones, watches, tablets, cars, furniture, vacations. Your entire financial life becomes a series of small, permanent leaks. Each one feels manageable. Together, they drown you. Now let's talk about the status component, because phones aren't just tools, they're symbols. Your phone sits on the table. People see it. They notice. And Apple understands this better than almost any company in history. Every year, the upgrades are incremental, not revolutionary, but just enough to make last year's model feel slightly embarrassing, not broken, just behind. And that feeling, that's not accidental, it's engineered. Studies show that people upgrade phones not because of functional need, but because of social comparison and novelty decay. In simple terms, your brain gets bored, and bored brains spend money. This is hedonic adaptation, the same thing that makes a raise feel amazing for 3 months, then normal. Your new phone feels incredible, then ordinary, then outdated, and the cycle repeats. Now here's the lie people tell themselves: at least it's 0% interest. That's technically true, but it's psychologically misleading. 0% interest doesn't mean zero cost. It means deferred pain, and deferred pain leads to worse decisions. When you finance something, you're far more likely to buy a more expensive version. Data shows people spend between 30 and 50% more when paying in installments versus upfront, which is exactly why Apple pushes financing so hard, because when the pain disappears, price stops mattering. Now let's talk about control. When you finance your phone, you lock yourself into a contract. If your income drops, the payment doesn't. If you lose your job, Apple still wants their $50. Fixed costs reduce flexibility. Flexibility is wealth. This is something rich people understand deeply. They minimize fixed obligations. They maximize optionality. Phone payments do the opposite. They turn wants into obligations. And once your lifestyle is built on obligations, freedom disappears quietly. Here's another angle most people never consider. Your phone payment competes with your future self. Every dollar you commit to the present is a dollar your future doesn't get to compound. That's the real trade-off. Not phone versus cash, but phone versus time. And time is the most valuable asset you have. Now you might be thinking, okay, Brian, but I make good money. This doesn't apply to me. Look, lifestyle inflation doesn't care how much you make. In fact, the more you make, the more dangerous this becomes, because the payments scale. Instead of $50, it's $80. Instead of $80, it's $100. And suddenly, your high income is supporting a high-maintenance lifestyle that feels impossible to step down from. That's how people making $200,000 live paycheck to paycheck, not because they're irresponsible, but because their fixed costs grew quietly, one small decision at a time. So what do you actually do? First, buy your next phone outright. Yes, it will hurt. That's the point. Pain creates boundaries. Second, keep your phone longer than feels comfortable, not until it breaks, until it's boring. Third, separate needs from upgrades. A working phone is a need. A better camera is a want. Fourth, redirect the payment. If you would have paid $50 a month, invest it instead. Make the invisible visible. And finally, audit your monthly obligations regularly. Ask yourself, if my income dropped tomorrow, what would crush me? Those are the payments controlling your life. Here's the truth. The iPhone payment isn't evil. It's just a symptom of a system designed to turn your future into someone else's profit. The goal isn't deprivation. The goal is awareness. Because once you see the game, you can't unsee it. And once you stop financing convenience, your financial life gets lighter, calmer, more intentional. So if this changed how you think about money, subscribe for more videos like this. Share it with someone who just upgraded their phone. And next time you see a low monthly payment, ask yourself, is this making my life easier or just more expensive? Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.